There you go.
We're good.
Anytime.
All right, everyone, it is 6 o'clock. We'll call the regular council meeting at Fundy Shores to order at September 3rd, 2025. Seeing all council is present. If anyone has a declaration in conflict of interest, they can declare now. Seeing none. Addition, deletion, or approval of the agenda. We're looking for a mover and seconder on that.
I move to approve the meeting.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Saunier, seconded by Councilor Bent. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Seeing none, motion carried. Approval of minutes, as always, we do both regular council meeting August 6th, 2025, and committee of the whole August 20th, 2025. I'll look for a mover and seconder on those. Moved by Councilor Bent, seconded by Councilor Thompson. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. Presentation to council. We have a few of them tonight, and first up is the RCMP. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Thank you, your worship. Councilors, thank you. I think I know most of you. My name is Staff Sergeant Jeff Peters. I'm the District Advisory NCO to oversee operations in all of RCMP. So before I start tonight, just introductions. I believe everyone knows Sergeant Henderson, St. George Detachment. And just my colleague here, freshly promoted Corporal Remy LeBlanc. So Remy was a constable here in St. George 5.5 years, couple years ago. And missed it so much he decided to promote back to the team lead. So I'll give you the floor there for a minute just to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Corporal Remy LeBlanc. I just got transferred from Grandview Westfield. I was spending 2 years there, July 23 up to this past month. So I am familiar with both sides of your area. And Grandview covers a portion along this road and in the subdivision for Allen Avenue area. So quite familiar with the area, so I'm happy to be back. Patrol Musquash and Chance Harbor and all the rest of it. So reach out to me anytime and be glad to help.
Well, congratulations on the promotion and welcome back.
Thank you.
So we also have another corporal that transferred from Saskatchewan back in January. Yeah. Corporal Lisa Horseman, she came from Saskatchewan, so she's the other team lead based out of St. George. She couldn't be here tonight, but we'll probably get her to the next meeting so everybody can meet her. So yeah, very informal, like I say. I appreciate your time this evening, and our goal is just to come back and kind of keep in touch and hear from you folks if you know, if you have any concerns that's been brought to you by your constituents, anything, and just give a brief update on what we've been up to. So since our last visit, I just and I know His Worship has heard this being at the our APP meetings, but we you'll see the body worn camera that I'm wearing. So it's not recording. The green means it's ready. It's not recording. When it's red, it means it's on. So we're very happy. The RCMP has rolled this out across the country, and we got them back. I'm not good with dates. Yeah, so we got them rolled out. Graham and Ann and Calvin were the last two, and they've got them here recently. So all of our officers are now wearing them. Fantastic. We're very happy to have them. They've already cut our number of complaints and stuff down substantially. So basically, under our policy, we're required to activate them when we go to a call. Records interactions with people, and it's also things we can use as evidence in court. So and the system that manages them is like a third-party system, and it's very easy to use, and just a great system. So we're very happy to have them. And again, it's good accountability because it makes us more accountable to the public. And you know, we've had situations where people have a complaint, and there's a mechanism by which we can actually show them the video. So it's you know, it's a very positive step forward. So like I say, you see them, they're not recording all the time. They do have a buffer, so 30 seconds before you press start, it's recording video. So the purpose of that is if something happens, in the previous 30 seconds, it'll capture the video but not the audio, so it'll show why you turned it on. So Yeah, and I have, I don't think I brought any, but I've got some cards, that have, a QR code on them, and it'll take you to the RCMP policy. So it's a national policy that dictates on when they're used and how they're used, and how we manage the evidence and stuff, because there's a lot of privacy issues around. So since our last visit, we've, been quite, I'm quite proud of our officers involved in, a lot of our community events, down here. I know the Sandcastle Festival was a big hit. We had officers down, working at that. At the Fundy Shores Community Days, we had some officers attending some of the events there. I just want to say, and I think it goes without saying, but these are very, very good community events that they don't require a police presence per se for security. They're, you know, everybody's there is there, clearly wants to be there and having fun. So we, Chris was at the Sandcastle Festival, and I know we assisted in a couple of minor things like a lost kid and things like that, but nothing, you know, nothing that required anybody to have to go to jail or anything like that. So it's good, and we enjoy getting out, meeting people and things. So and again, just continuing on and we've very good communication, just letting us know when there's things going on that you would like us to be at, and we'll make an effort to do that. And what we've been doing, so we're not taking officers off the shift, is we've actually been calling officers in on overtime to come to these. So it's from the view of our management, it's money well spent to, you know, to make sure that we have somebody there, because otherwise we try to send somebody and they get there and then they have to leave for a call. So it's not as effective as dedicating somebody to it. So I think it bears good results. We've also had our traffic enforcement. Our traffic unit has been in the area a few times. I know that's to the chagrin of some folks, but I'm a big proponent of them and a big supporter of them. I think road safety is one of our policing priorities that we set every year within the RSC, and I think the number of serious and fatal collisions that we have, not just here but everywhere in the RSC, there's a desperate need for it. So they serve a good purpose and they do a lot of good work. And our officers are also doing traffic enforcement when time permits. And you know, we know the areas and we know the hot spots other than the highway. You know, the main road down in Point Pro, that's always an area of concern, speeders. So you know, we're trying to continue to hit those hot spots. And you know, we encourage people to call when they have problem areas or note speeders and things like that, because we do take that information, and the officers are out on patrol. They'll, you know, if they know particular areas a problem area, they will spend some time at it. So and some good news stories lately. I know there was a media release that we did last week of a check stop, a proactive check stops that our officers were doing down towards St. Stephen. Car came through, had 2 individuals in it with the methamphetamine on them. One of the individuals was on house arrest and had tampered with his bracelet, so they were both arrested and charged accordingly. And the charges pending for the drugs that were seized. And there's media release that we submitted a few days ago. It's not out yet. It should be out today or tomorrow. But in the span of 2 or 3 days last week, we had 4 fairly significant drug seizures based off proactive work traffic stops that our officers are doing. So this resulted in seizure of methamphetamine and crack cocaine. And some pills and things. So we're trying to get our good news stories out there to show that our officers are out doing proactive work. I'm a big fan of, you know, basic police work, I call it, but traffic is our bread and butter. And it's not just out pulling for an expired registration sticker or seeing who's out on the road at 3 o'clock in the morning and why they're there. And then that in and of itself usually drums up more important things that we're looking at. So people on warrants, people that are not supposed to be out because they're on conditions, people that have weapons and drugs and things like that. So I'm quite proud of the work that's being done by our officers in the RSC. And again, it's, you know, it goes a lot off of tips from members of the public, and also our officers being out in places. So I know it's just on the boundary of Fundy Shores, Eastern Charlotte, but McCarthy's Point Road, a few months ago, we had a fairly significant file where we had a really well-known prolific property crime offender that was out in a U-Haul truck. I put 2 and 2 together and figured he wasn't moving at 2 o'clock in the morning. He was out looking for things to steal. Resulted in a pursuit, and we ended up arresting him. But once we found out who he was, we probably prevented a lot of break and enters that night just by arresting him. So again, that was just proactive work by an officer. This doesn't fit at this time of night in this location. So we trying to do the best we can to get our good news stories out there. And again, I know I keep saying it, but people calling and reporting things that look out of place at certain times, that often leads to more. Chris, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think you covered most of it off, Jeff, but just sort of touching on the Sand Council Festival, there was quite a presence there in terms of local fire departments, both your fire department and the Eastern Charlotte one were there, and then Department of Public Safety, and then ourselves, and yeah, we had a missing 7-year-old child. We were able to work pretty quickly to help locate that child. A couple of the medical calls too, just people that kind of walked too far in the sand, hot day. So we were able to kind of collaborate together and kind of look at those people kind of safely back to the vehicles. Yeah, it was a good event, and like Jeff said, there was an opportunity there for us to kind of do some community engagement work. Get our faces out there, talk to people, and one of the booths that was set up there at the top of the stairs was one of the hotels there at St. John, and we were sort of just chatting back and forth with the the folks that were there. It was interesting, some of the groups that had displays set up, and some of the work in the sandcastles themselves. It was I'll be very honest, I go to New River Beach quite often, but that's a weekend I try to not go with my family because the traffic is just so, but I was happy to go, like, for the work capacity that weekend, because get to see some of the effort that people put into the sculptures. And then, of course, your worship, we ran into each other. First we took advantage of the breakfast. It was really good, and then went over to the market and whatnot. Myself and Staff Sergeant Sampson. So it's great to be out here and really enjoy the collaborative working relationship that we've developed here. Communication obviously being a big part of that. So please do, if there's any concerns, where to find us, and we're happy to help and answer any questions anybody has.
And just on a note on the reports, I know I believe you've got copies of these. These are only the final Q4 report from last year. And I just checked, the Q1 reports aren't yet, and I do apologize for that, because I know we're almost to the end of Q2 now, at the end of September. So the Q1 report should be out soon, and I know they come out from the RSC, and then they distribute them out to all the councils. I will say that I have not seen anything specific to Fundy Shores that's raising concern over the last quarter. I haven't seen a spike in anything. The calls seem to be rather consistent. Again, mostly driving complaints, mental health calls, assisting EMS, domestic assaults, and the property crime does not seem to have been anything out of the ordinary. I mean, we're always going to have the odd one here and there with the number of cottages and camps and things in this jurisdiction. So, but again, with a lot of people, and that individual that was from with the U-Haul truck, that not from the area, so somebody coming from St. John area down here and just kind of zipping back and forth. So we're cognizant of that. Say the best ones, but the ones that are easier to solve are the kind of the roving criminals in this area who we know and we can get a beat on, and I think we've done a fairly good job over the last few years of identifying those guys and putting them in jail where they belong.
I do like just looking at the quarterly reports on page 13. You'll see some of the traffic enforcement from this quarter, the first Q4, it's the first 3 months of the year. Quite a bit of it is you'll see a lot of those black circles kind of on the road down to the Point Pro nuclear generating station. So we've been working pretty aggressively to help reduce speeds on the way down to the station there. I know that's an ongoing concern in that area, so something I'll point out there. And if anybody does have any questions about the quarterly report, you get home and you look at it. If you want to drop us an email, you have most of our myself and Jeff our email contacts. More than happy to answer any questions or any concerns anybody has with any information here. If anybody has any questions now.
Yeah, before I go to council, I do have a couple comments.
Sure.
And they're good, so. So yeah, I do want to give a good shout out to you guys for the community events that you attended. We got good, I think, positive feedback from that. So that was always a good thing. And the big thing, I guess, is we've come a long way in a year. Not even quite a year. So I mean, I keep going back, and I know Chris, you weren't there, Jeff was, but in the meeting we had in Fredericton, I know there was a lot. I was in the news every week, and so I do want to give kudos again to you, and I know I've done it before. and to Inspector Barry. It meant a lot to me. We left that meeting. I think it was a productive meeting. Obviously, a lot came from it. He stuck to his word. So yeah, so I appreciate that meeting. I've never really, other than the council, we've never talked a lot about that meeting of what went in, because I felt the collaboration, we wanted to maintain that, and I think we have, and I look forward, actually, I know we've had some conversations in the past couple of weeks. And I look forward to hopefully another public meeting coming up here this fall that we can pull together and kind of highlight some of the good things that you have done. I know Musquash, you spoke about it, and the collaboration even that's gotten better between, you know, down southwest and Musquash or Grand Bay Westfield that pulled together. I mean, we've seen probably in this region, and I've heard many stories from even around here of the, you know, the seeing the police more, the patrols, the stopping and talking here in our subdivision to 3 people that I spoke to in the last 3 weeks that.
And I'll give Sergeant Gomez some credit there too, because I know he's reached out to you guys separately, and I know it's difficult, you know, that we're the same organization, but then you end up with 2 contacts, but yeah, and I know there was some traffic concerns in some of that turned out to be the area, and I think he was right on it when he got that.
Yeah, no, and I on that end too, I've had good collaboration with him of what's been going on. He's very good at keeping us up to date, so I appreciate that, and I know yous are doing
And the
the best
safety
you
event
can.
coming up at the end of the month too.
27th,
It's a
yeah.
touch of trucks, so I think it's Corporal Horseman's team will be out. And there'll be a presence there as well.
No, I appreciate it very much of what you.
And we had I forgot to mention community engagement. One of our biggest things that we did a lot of media work on it was and that was another Inspector Barry's brainchild that came up with it, but it was like Cram the Cruiser, but it was school supplies instead of you know, the normal food bank thing. So that went over really well, and I know our community policing officer, Lisa Williams, did a fantastic job of organizing that and then taking all those items and getting them distributed to all the schools, the elementary schools. So that went over really well, and we're very, I just overwhelmed, I guess, by the support communities in the whole, one into Charlotte County to the other that contributed to that, so, that was a good story. Yeah, anything else to?
No, I mean, I agree fully with what you're saying. I mean, worship, it's, you know, I think we, you know, in terms of communication and collaboration, we've really, you know, narrowed the gap, and to the point where I think, you know, we got a coffee date coming up here sometime in the near future, so, you know, if there's anything coming up, just.
I have a lot on my list now.
But it doesn't have to wait till that. If something, if there is a concern, please do bring it forward, and, you know, we're happy to help.
Speaking of, while we're on the subject of management, so Inspector Barry, Superintendent Leclerc retired a few months ago. And so Inspector Barry's been acting in his position since he retired. And I'm not sure if you folks remember Martin Saunier, Inspector Martin Saunier. He was Mike Barry's predecessor. So he's actually been promoted into the superintendent position. So he'll be assuming that role sometime in September. So we're quite excited to have him back in West District. So I have no doubts at some point he'll want to come over and meet everyone as well. So,
No, look forward to it. Before we end, council have any questions? Seeing none.
and if you want to, like, say that meeting at the same location in Maces Bay, anytime, just give us a few weeks' notice, and we'll make sure we attend. I gotta say, last year when I went in, you know, and I saw the number of cars, I maybe had you know, torch and pitchforks waiting for us, but it was good, and it was a really good discussion I found, and people were frustrated with certain things, and that's totally understandable. That's what those meetings are for, but I found it very productive, and I thought by the end of it, when we left, it was a good idea. So yeah, I'm looking forward if you want to do that again.
Yeah, no, we
Yeah.
certainly, well, I'd like to give I guess a year review of where we
Yeah.
were and where we are now, and I think we've come a long ways. We're not perfect,
Yeah,
or you're not,
yeah,
we've
there's
got a
always
lot,
improvement,
we've got a lot of work to do
Yeah.
yet, but I think in the short time, I think we've all come out good.
For sure.
So, and I appreciate you being here tonight. That's another step in
Yeah.
what we didn't
So
have
try to
before,
keep
but
it a
that
couple
we
times
do
a year
now,
at least,
so.
so, yeah.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Then if nobody has anything else, you guys are off the hook. Easy.
I kind of want to stay and listen to Hollis, but.
Oh, that's So I think we're at another meeting with you coming up not
That's
too
right.
long, so we're probably all gonna be following you up your lane.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna put policies for children on the TV.
It's the one that Amy sent.
I think I just attempted to
Yeah.
click zap you with it.
All right. Take care, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Just give me a second, Hollis, I'll get your report. I'm not gonna share my, this report will make it in online. Or do you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay, Hollis, just let me know when you wanna go to the next page.
So next we'll go, I think everybody knows Hollis. He is the CEO of the Southwestern Brunswick Service Commission, my boss. Well, you're whatever. Every time I say RSC, it's Hollis is where I'm going, so I think for Jill, that's the only one that's new. So
You don't have a podium or a table or is
whatever you feel comfortable in.
stand up?
If you're gonna throw things, it's better over there to put it away from you.
Thanks for having me, first of all. I started doing this last year, this tour of councils and going through the budget, and I think everybody really appreciate it. You guys want to see me back, so, I don't have, I like doing it, and I like getting those questions out of the way now before we have to go into the budget, so. But I'm gonna start with, next page, please, Linda.
This one?
So what I've done is I've broken down the summary into a couple of things and I've highlighted a few things throughout this document. And just to highlight a couple of things, I'm not gonna spend too much time here because it's a lot of numbers, but so our budget for 2026, our proposed budget for 2026 is $8,366,380. That's the total. It's up a little bit from 2025, $8,182,937. One of the big differences there, you're going to see the solid waste services is up, and there's going to be an explanation for that. And it'll make sense when we get there. The other stuff is, well, you'll see some other significant changes as we go through the other services as well. So next slide, please. On the expenditure side, this is exactly matches the revenue side, and the whole point of this page is to show you that it's balanced budget. It's no surplus or deficit budgeted for. Next page. So corporate services. It's always a little bit of a point of confusion, but our corporate services includes things like me and our financial, our accounting, and our bookkeeping, and a couple of other people that are corporate employees that have services that are split across all of our other services. And I had to kind of point this out in a meeting last night. There's that here where it says CEO's office and it says 427,000. That is not my salary. I do not make $427,000. That's a few people in that pool there. And then below that, you see the allocation, how we've allocated that. We changed the allocations this year to make a lot more sense as to where those resources are actually spent, where the time is spent from a human resource point of view. So there's a little bit of shifting around of the numbers for that. And it makes sense as we go through each particular budget. Next slide. So solid waste services, looking at, these are all of the revenue that we expect to get from solid waste. It's important to note that these are estimates because it all depends on how much stuff comes across the scale. So we're estimating a little bit more from members. Members make up a slightly under 20% of our revenue, members being municipalities. Our tipping fee is going up from $95 to $98 a ton. We've noticed a trend downward of garbage from residential. That's a good thing. It's going to be more recycling. Sometimes that's an economic indicator. If there's an economic downturn, there's less garbage because people are buying less stuff. There's a little bit of that, but our commercial is going to probably take a little bit of a dip for 2026. The rest of the stuff is roughly equal. Other RSC means Western Valley, we get. A significant amount of garbage from Western Valley RSC, which is Woodstock, that area. They bring theirs down to us, they don't have their own landfill, they have a transfer station that brings it to us, so. We get some income from that, and foreign is obviously USA, and then we have a few other sources of income. For solid waste to make up $5 million in solid waste budget. The reason for that increase, you'll see on the next page, slide. It's not because we're doing a lot of stuff different. In fact, there's some efficiencies that we've been able to see with some changes we've made. We've made changes in testing we do. We've got 27 nests of wells that surround the landfill that we do periodic testing of for contamination, things like that. It's a regulatory requirement, but we're able to reduce the amount of testing that we do from monthly to quarterly for some things. And then all of the other testing we do, we're now doing in-house, the collection part, and testing is done by our company. So third party. And I highlighted a part on here, and this is the reason for the increase, is because this year we took money out of solid waste capital reserve for capital purchase, namely we bought a compactor for $2 million. And next year, we are getting all of our capital money out of operations, so we're taking nothing out of reserves for next year, and that's the reason for the increase in expense. Just because we're going to get it from operations, we're not going to dip into any reserves. Really, nothing else changed there. Next slide. Oh, sorry. We'll go back to. I meant to go to the bottom there, Fundy Shore, so we are estimating your bill to be 51,000 for tipping fees in 2026. This is based on the trend that we've seen year to date this year. Last year, we had estimated 65,000. So this is probably going to be more accurate and closer to what you can expect to go. It all really depends on how much garbage you use. Skip ahead to the local planning. Local planning, business itself hasn't changed. There isn't really any changes to that service in what we're offering and what we're doing there. There's a little bit of an increase just with inflation. What there is an increase here because this is one of the changes in allocations from corporate on that first line under expenditures. And so this is again reflected in these budgets, all of those corporate costs. One thing that we did do for this year, we had a bit of an operating reserve. So we're going to apply 60,000 from that operating reserve. There's still 60,000 remaining. Just to kind of make things a little bit more stable. We got the operating reserve in the first place because we had unbudgeted revenue. This is when Brandon and came on stream. So that wasn't in our budget and came on. So we had extra income, we put it in reserve. And so we decided to apply here because I don't really have a need for it outside of this. So we had it in here. You will see that your amount for the bill for Fundy Shores for 2026 is 198,749. 2025, that was 201,061. So it's gone down a little bit. That is because the overall rate per capita has gone per tax base has gone down slightly, and that's why that slight decrease for 2026. So, regional planning. This one, what this budget is about is when our planning department does stuff for the region as a whole that doesn't apply to any particular one municipality. It's not a big thing, it's not a big budget, but you will see there's a bigger allocation from corporate again in this one. That makes a lot more sense. One of the reasons being our GIS person is a corporate employee. So that's split across planning, cooperative and regional largely, and then some to economic development, a couple of other areas too. So that's the reason for the increase here, not because there's a huge difference there, but because there's a bigger allocation from corporate. So your 2026 amount for this is going to be 7,558. In 25, it was 2,287. So it's up a little bit, but it's not a big. Next slide. Regional tourism promotion. This is a big change. And this is really going to affect the rest of the budget, as you're going to see. So. What you're seeing here, when we're looking at revenue here, I have something called RSSF, Regional Services Support Fund. This is something the government provided after reform for support of all the new mandated services. Originally, it started off, I think it was 240,000, next year was 400, something like it ramped up over 3 years. And the claim was it was being built out of the conditional grants from municipalities. This is no longer the case. Those two things are completely divorced. What the government has done now with RSSF is there is a fund of $18 million for the province that comes out of general revenues that we have access to. I have to match it. It's a 50-50 match for RSSF money. So that's what I've done almost exactly here for tourism promotion. As much as I could apply from RSSF, I did. You will see the allocation from corporate services is bigger. And the reason for that is because we are adding the new person in corporate who is our communications coordinator. And a large part of their time is going to be spent in tourism promotion. We no longer have a director of tourism promotion. So that position has been eliminated and there's a large savings there. We have also cut back, way back on the advertising and professional services budget for this. This is through a lot of discussions over several months about where we're going with tourism promotion. Originally, it was designing the strategy of what we were doing. But it really, the world has changed. A lot of things have changed. And it wasn't appropriate to our region, and this isn't me talking, this is from several other conversations that have happened. So this feels like a much more appropriate way to go. Our new person is going to be a hands-on, boots on the ground, out in the community on a very regular basis. Like every week we need, and it'll be videos, it'll be even to things like TikTok, Instagram, a lot of social kind of stuff, because that's where we need to be to promote. And then there's several other ideas there that are going to be fleshed out. I'm going to sit down with the tourism committee and kind of work with them to figure out exactly what that strategy is. We've had some talks at board level about where this could go. And I want to bounce these ideas off the tourism committee and bring it back to the board, make sure there's a new strategy and the direction we're going to go with this. So the end result here is that we're going from a $525,000 budget to a $213,000 budget. Last year, I applied $249,000 in RSSF. This year, I'm only applying $106,000 because that's the most I can in order to make that 50%. What this has done is free up a lot of other RSSF and the other services that I'm going to show you. Where's Michael? It'll make sense in a minute, I promise. So your 2026 amount for tourism is going to be 19,357, as opposed to the 2025 budget of 37,782. Next page. Regional economic development. So there's one sort of major difference in what's happening in regional economic development, and that is we are adding a zonal immigration. It's a ZIP resource. This is a fully funded resource from the federal government. Their program. They're already believe that they fund it completely. That's why you will see the amount of personnel has gone up significantly because we pay them, but it's also offset by the zonal immigration partnership income. This is a budget, and this person may start at a different time than we base this on April 1st, which is government fiscal. And so that's kind of one of the major changes there. We cut back a little bit on professional services and advertising, but I was able to apply a lot more RSSF to regional economic development. So the members, the total member for the region, the input for 2025 is 56,000 and change. For 2026, it will be 10,000 change, so a significant difference. Your bill for 2026 will be 1,939. And your 2025 budget for this was 10,763. So what this really means is that I'm finding there's government funding for 98.5% of our regional economic development by playing the shell game with the RSSF. So anyway, I've got government funding for 98.5% for regional economic development.
Is this to be submitted or has it already been submitted and approved?
I'm sorry,
Has it been submitted to the province and approved or?
it doesn't really have to be other
Doesn't have
than
to
the
be.
RSSF application part.
Mhm.
I do have to submit that, if this is the budget, I need to know this budget's approved by the board before I can do that. But once that's done, I'll approve it to them, but as long as it meets that 50% requirement, and I'm back and forth with them fairly regular basis. We're good. Next page. So community development, you folks probably all know Ray Fonke is doing a lot of really good things in the community. There's been a lot of things happening there. Again, this is a place where I applied a lot more RSSF that was available. There isn't a lot of difference in this service for 2026. I had a little bit of a surplus coming in from 2024 that I can apply to this budget. Our county works just like any other municipality, even though we're not a municipality. So with community development in 2025, the member fees were 61,000 for the region. 2026, they're going to be $3,908. Meaning that your bill for community development in 2026 is $495. Last year for 2025 it was 8,057. Pretty good value for money because that's less than 1% of what the actual service costs to do. The Economic Social Inclusion Corporation, by the way, that grant process is open. It's September 1. If there are community grants, look into that. Contact Ray or Nick. Nick has had some success with our grant writing program. And there's a whole bunch more stuff in the program that you can see shortly. So that's been a success story too. That's big. This one's going to require a little explanation. Regional transportation. So last year when we made the budget, we had an application out with the Rural Transit Support Fund, which is a federal program. And we were looking for somewhere around $800,000, but we had to have some money, we had to have some skin. So they were looking for 10%. So we took the budget and we said, we're gonna add that to our transportation budget, as a transportation grant. And see how we were not successful with that application. We reapplied this year. Last year, we heard somewhere around the end of September. Hopefully, it's going to be something like that this year. We'll see. If we're not successful, two things will happen. So if we're successful, then we'll have to sit down with the board and figure out. A couple things have actually changed since we made those applications. For instance, I understand that Maureen Justison is no longer seeking to complete that project. She's looking for a bus. They're going for the sister. I haven't confirmed it, so that project may be deferred to somebody else. I have another operator that is looking for some support, already has a bus. There's a bunch of things that we would have to sit down and figure out if we are successful. If we're not successful, then by the end of this year, I got to figure out what to do with that one because it's still sitting, we still have it. So by the end of this year, we can roll this money that we have left in transportation into the reserve fund. We can relate it back to local governments. We can decide to do something different with it. Something we're going to have to figure out by the end of the year. Probably the most easiest solution is going to be to roll it into reserve fund and figure it out next year. But I'll leave that up to the board to make that decision. So anyway, for 2026, your budget is from members total is $3,177, and your bill for this is $402. And expenses that roll into this are gonna be, there's a 50,000 in and out from e-Sicker dial ride. There is some corporate services allocation of close to $20,000. I've offset that with close to the same amount in RSSF. There's a little bit of a deficit in 2024, which is really what we're covering with these numbers. That's it. Next page. Public safety committee. Again, the reason for the big change in this budget is because I had some surplus to apply for 2026 to 2024. And yeah, I'm not really applying RSSF for 2026. There's really not much need. There's $178 need for members. Your bill is going to be $23. Well, one of the things that this budget includes, and this is relevant to the conversation we just had, is the speed sign. So we own speed sign, RCMP can access all the data on it, and it's, you know, one of those things that shows you how fast you're going, that kind of thing. That's available to you guys anytime you want. Look it through Trish. There's a little bit of a kind of training things you pursue, and you have to go get it. It's the only hook. and there's a couple of things you need to follow with that speed sign. Not a big deal. But it's available if you want to park it on any road for a period of time. You can do that. So next page is the recreation cost sharing thing. So this year, for 2026, I got a bit of a surplus that we ended up with from 24 that we're applying here, which is going to bring down the actual amount that I have to collect from members. So in 2026, it's a little bit odd because we're collecting 755,000, but we're passing out 802,000. We changed the allocations here. We had some administration stuff in there previously, but Mark and I sat down and said, look, this is just an accounting exercise. We're just writing checks a few times a year. There's no cost. So we just eliminated them all from the recreation budget for 2026. And in your case, your amount of contribution is going to go to 95,000 from 103,000. Your rebate is going to go up to 78,000 change, down from 76,000. So your net cost for recreation is going to be $17,028, which is $10,000 less than it was in 2025. I understand that you've sorted out you got a seat on the board for there's some.
Still in the works. I will say it started, but then it kind of stagnant right now, but I think there's work to be done there, and I don't know if we'll get done this year going into an election, so I don't know. I'm hopeful this winter something will.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to you guys to fight out.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
I don't.
Give me an interview, let me know.
We forward, I think, a draft terms of reference and things like that in last October, just haven't been much movement since then.
Okay.
Well, I think we made a little bit with the hockey team, but then that kind of got sidetracked.
Yes, I forgot about that.
So there was some hockey stuff going on and got sidetracked, so I think right now we're kind of in a. Let's wait.
So will that,
Keep phase.
and just because I don't get that deep in the weeds, will that bring down their operating costs if they have a hockey team?
It would bring up their revenue, wouldn't it, for ice sales? I would assume.
I would assume, but the one for Eastern Charlotte is no longer. So it's only the Garcelon Center.
Oh,
So that's why I say we're stagnant right now. We were doing good things and then that kind of,
I didn't know that part.
yeah, no, that went away. That was, yeah. We're lodged, so I'll just leave it at that.
So the last page is a summary of all the things we just talked about in terms of your bill. So when I look at the 2026 budget and contributions from Fundy Shores, it's all the same things that I just showed you on those pages. But your total contribution for RSC services for 2026 is budgeted at $297, $297.01. And the 2025 budget was.
You have Eastern Charlotte.
Line one.
I think it just might have been just the name on the bottom line. but those numbers do look.
Should be
Yeah.
funny.
Sure.
That's because I edited Eastern Charlotte from last night and I forgot to erase that.
But we can add that to Eastern Charlotte. so it's not a
Yeah.
problem.
They'll have no problem with that, I'm sure. So total Fundy Shores. Is, we go for all of their services, it'll be 297, and we budgeted 25 for 364,000, so. A little less for next year.
Well, I've already had a lot of kids at the game, so I'll let council, if anybody has any questions, to raise them now.
I was given instruction by the board a while back that assessments are frozen. So do your best, sharpen your pencil.
I'm just gonna turn off the TV unless there was anybody that had any.
No.
Anybody have anything?
Just a lot of cuts. Big cuts. Alright.
Doesn't see much difference in service.
No, and so that's. The only difference you're really gonna see in services, stores and promotion. This is a big change, but I think it's the right move. I think it's more appropriate for Southwest, and I think it's more appropriate to have somebody boots in the ground. Out in the community, like at least once a week, getting stuff out there, if not more. Similar to what we see Vicky Hart Bogart do for St. Andrews, but for the whole region, kind of. But more.
See her a lot.
But that's not the extent of it. There's a bunch of other things that go with that in towards the promotion, and a lot of it has to do with communication about all the great stuff in Southwest, to the general public and all the stuff that's happening and all the things that municipalities do.
Is she a local bird?
I don't know.
Okay, not hired yet.
Not hired.
Okay,
I.
just wondering how much she needs to
I'm in the
learn.
middle of putting together that posting. I don't actually have the budget to hire this person just yet, because I had to terminate the director. And it was a bit of a separate. So I may have something that, towards the end of this year that's available to do that, but I stayed in the budget on that, so.
Mhm.
I have no idea who this unicorn is gonna be that I'm gonna find. But, if you know somebody.
Enthusiastic and personable.
Yes, yeah, has to be okay with, filming themselves. And being on camera, and like, it's one thing to have faceless videos, I don't know if you guys saw the tourism video, or it wasn't really tourism, it was the Southwest video that we came up with recently.
Yeah.
That was a really expensive video to make, came from some grant money. It was done by Henry's House, it had some hired actors in it. My personal opinion of it is very generic. It could be anywhere you listen. Henry's House puts out a nice video, but it has the same look, it's that cinematic feel, like that jump up sort of feel. When I look at what Newfoundland is doing, for instance, they're killing it. And what they've done is they've taken a more. They put more people, more, it's about the people there, and the people that are action. So I kind of want to go that direction, it's what I feel gives it a better, more personal touch. What we have done in tourism in the past, like, if you've ever seen some of the Maritime Maven or East Coast Mermaid, and they've done some stories around the region. Those people, all of those influencers don't come here by accident, it's because we paid them. So we invited those people to do that stuff, and that's effective. It's an effective marketing tool. So we kind of want to almost become our own influencer.
That's interesting, promising.
You know, that's one aspect, there's more to it, obviously.
Fish is out of the picture now.
Pardon?
Fish is out of the picture now. That company is from.
Yes.
Basically. They're not completely out, I'm winding up some stuff with them. There's still a printed visitor guide, which I need to week yet, it's gonna get to me later this week, actually. It's nice, it's pretty good. There's a couple of edits that need to be added to the website, I need to get them to do before I transfer that entire website to our own server. We have our own server space, which is Canadian based. Right now, it's on the use of web services, that probably shouldn't be. There's a few things like that that need to happen. But so, and they had a couple of projects that winding up, but. They're nice people, but they're really expensive.
Yeah,
And, you know, you can sub out to somebody that subs out to somebody else, that subs out to somebody else, and it snowballs the cost.
I
The way it
forget the
is.
name of what's the name of that person that did, they were local.
she did a lot of
Really
work
good.
in a lot, and so on. She was from Wisconsin,
Yeah. She did a really good job.
not a lot.
Fundy National Park in that area.
Yes.
Up on Fundy Church.
So the actual maintenance and updates of the website will also be done by our communications person, and I want them to also produce monthly communications to local governments about what we're doing with DRC. We want to be better at communications than we have been. You know, it's been not great, and we can always do better at communications. And I think that's-
And I think we all strive for that, and I just quick notes, I guess, and not on this, because like I said, I've kicked this can for a few months with you, so I know. So I do appreciate you coming tonight, and thank you for presenting the council. It's way a lot better than me going through it. I would have been here all night, so. I appreciate that, and I also want to say thanks to you for. Throughout this year, I know there's been some good times and not so good times, and sometimes it's rough. Restructuring's not always fun, and trying to put numbers and budgets together, and so a lot of work went into that, and I appreciate it on behalf of council, but I know sitting on the board, it's not always easy either here in this.
Thank you for saying that, but honestly, I love my job, I like what I do. I
But
like people I work with. As far as the staff we've got, I could not ask for a better staff. Like really, and they are the ones that really make me look good. It's people like Trish that do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. It's our planning department that you guys are really familiar with probably at this point. They're professional, they know what they're doing. It's a solid waste crew like that landfill could not be organized better. It's the nicest looking landfill in the province, but it's just. They've done really well with fires and things like that this year too, by keeping a very small working phase, and they've worked extra hard on a lot of stuff. It's really the staff like that could not be better.
Can I ask a question with your solid waste?
Sure.
Are there any prospects for composting for that facility at any time, or?
We have a contingency plan if we have to do it.
I thought it was mandatory.
half is under long there, it's.
Yeah,
I come from a community that composts, and then when we switched,
I did
lot of
too.
people were really
I was
upset
just
that-
saying.
they didn't get their compost. You could cut way back in garbage.
Yeah, you could, but then you still have another pile to deal with.
That's true.
So I don't know that it saves anything. It, right now, there's a group that are trying to examine what the actual benefits of separating organics of garbage is. Because the goal is a reduction in greenhouse gases.
Mhm.
However, is that reduction in greenhouse gases off the landfill? Probably will accomplish it that way. But a landfill is really nothing more than a large compost heap. Some stuff decomposes a lot slower than other stuff. Plastic. And what we would do probably is the simplest, easiest, most cost effective thing, which in our case would be, we've got enough space up there, we've got 1,000 acres. And we have a space that we can clear off, and we could do what we call windrows composting. So you put all the organics in rows, and then you have to go and turn it over and have a play liner, so it doesn't have the same requirements as garbage does in terms of leachate and wastewater management. And then eventually, once it gets to the point where it's composted or whatever it does, get off gases. then that would actually end up back in landfill and it's probably cover some material. It's nothing you would ever use in an agriculture or garden situation, because municipal compost, municipal organic collection is going to be contaminated. It's just because of the nature of it. It's not the same as backyard composting, where you're purposely trying to make a product, which is compost. Municipal organic collection is not that. It will have anything and everything in it. You can't control all of the inputs there. So you could not use that for, you can't just give away compost for your gardens. Kind of thing. That would never it would be. So it's gonna end up back in landfill anyway, you're not saving any space. It's got an off gas anyway, so I'm not sure if it off gases in the landfill or if it off gases in its own pile separately. What, how much of a benefit we're gaining there? It's a separate collection that you have to pay for. So separate truck and separate bins and all that kind of stuff. It doubles your collection costs.
If that's next year's budget, that's.
So 2022,
That's, yeah.
that's what we gotta do. So that's kind of our plan if we have to do it, but we really rather not. What we really rather do is get really good at collecting the gas off the landfill that we already have. Right now we do, and it's actually, we've actually developed a new system for collecting gas. And how the wells are created. We're collecting a lot more.
Okay.
And then you have a real tight covering, small working face, and you're good at collecting the gas. Right now, all we do with the gas actually is flare it, so we just burn it. But by burning it, it's a destruction thing, so it becomes much less of a greenhouse gas, like orders of magnitude less. But if we have enough volume, we can maybe do something else with it, like generate electricity. Keep the leachate so we can treat that. We keep it some of our buildings there, do some different district heating. If there's enough volume, the actual natural gas pipeline is only 5 miles away, and we can potentially sell them methane. So I would much rather concentrate on that, on the gas collection, recovery, and doing something productive than go down this road of organics. I think it's.
It makes sense.
Again, yeah,
It does, it makes sense.
that would be good for the public to have some education on that as well.
Yeah,
probably.
because I didn't realize that.
Mm.
Didn't realize
I know when we were
that.
composting, I lived in Nova Scotia. Like, people would go in and get compost, but they would sometimes just burn the lawn. Like, when they were putting it on their properties and stuff, they weren't going into the garden with it.
Mhm.
They use some of it, Mountain does do snap, they already separate the organics. And I know they use some of it there, they were landscaping developers. You might do that. But it's not stuff you would ever want to put in there.
In the garden.
Okay, so it's more of a
Any other
political-
questions for the budget before Hollis speaks right of here? I want to make sure everybody's comfortable with the budget. Let's.
You can always email me or call me if you want to. Think of something.
Our CFO is very shy.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Hollis, for presenting. It's appreciated and. Oh. You guys are all getting off real easy tonight. So I don't know. Yeah, I feel nervous now. I'd be worried. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Hollis. Thank you. Safe travels.
Your turn.
You're up.
So thank you for having me this evening. For those who don't know me, I'm Chelsea Nichols. I'm a manager with Team Farmers Louisville. So I've been behind the scenes, so this is second year of operation. So last year and this year, I've been behind the scenes on the audit, doing the review, sort of doing a quality review of it, so. A couple things I'll touch on tonight will be the financial results, and then I'll go into the audit results and discuss a little bit of the control environment. So first up would be the financial results. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to go through the financial statements, but first I'll just give you a couple highlights on the statement of operations. So for the year, total revenues were up this year. They came in at 2.4 million. Total expenditures came in slightly up from prior year as well, 1.7. So when you look at your statement of operations, also known as the income statement, if you will. The annual surplus for the year ended up at $730,105. So these financial statements are prepared in accordance to public sector accounting standards. And the accounting for public sector is slightly different from your funding accounting that you're used to. So we have sort of your funding surplus, and then this is the public sector accounting surplus. So for the public sector statements, that was what we ended up at. We do have a reconciliation note on page 14, note 13. And that basically, what it does is it takes the public sector surplus for what we have to report on, and it backs out items to get down to your, what's called your funding surplus. So at the end of the year, your annual surplus for funding requirements came in at $109,939 under the general operating fund. So big difference there. Mainly the items, it comes down to capital items, so capital expenditures. Under public sector, that's not an expense. We report that on your balance sheet. And under funding, it would just be a straight expense. Some of the other items that also sort of reduce to get you back to that 109 from 730 would be other things like reserve transfers. There's a few reserve transfers this year, and also lease payment for the fire truck that was new this year. And then there was some funding received for the Canada Community Building Fund, which we ended up deferring. So there is a reconciliation at the back, if there's any questions on it, and any questions on that. Some of the, I guess, big differences of why we ended up at a surplus this year. Overall, there was a 20% increase in the property tax warrant that was collected, that was budgeted for at the end of last year. And then looking at the expenditures, some of the two of the main items, I guess, would be protective services. So the fire department being new this year, there was a budget expenditures of 517, but 355 were the actual expenditures this year. So what happened there was, I think there were some items budgeted for capital. So we don't expense those get moved up, and we amortize them over a number of years for its useful life. So initially, probably budgeted for those to go as an expense, and then we ended up with the expense. So that was kind of one of the differences there. And another driving factor, I think, under environmental health, I think there was a renegotiation for our contracts for the waste disposal. I had noted there. So again, budget of 470,000 for expenditure, it actually came in at 324. So it's kind of a big, when you go through the sort of looking at budget to actual, those are some of the bigger numbers that stood out that drove that surplus. As for the audit results this year in control environment, part of our audit procedures is to review your internal controls of the organization. So we just want to make sure that there's proper checks in place, preventative and detective controls to ensure the community funds are spent as they should. And overall, to summarize, we do feel that there are strong detective controls in place. And some of those being like the budget approval process, you have a formal process in place. It's done very thorough to budget out for each sector for the next year. Also, the monthly review of disbursements by having some council members going through and actually reviewing the disbursements going out each month. That's a really good check to ensure that the checks that are being written are for the community and spent as they should be. And another check that we feel is a good control is the quarterly review done by Grant Thornton. So that's also another really good check to have done. It's very good to have that in place, so council members can have some confidence that, you know, there's another extra check done over and above, especially when there is not a lot of segregation having one employee at this time. So those are good things to have in place. We feel like there is a good, strong control environment from that. So overall, as far as the audit results go, our opinion is that the financial information is fairly stated. We did not find any material errors or had any concerns. that would imply that they're not presented as such. And we have issued what's called a qualified audit opinion this year, so it is a little bit different from last year's auditor's report. And what that means is that, we have a paragraph on it, and basically just, we have to note there was the pension liability that we could not get a true estimate from the actuarial report in time when we issued these, financial statements. So for that, we had to disclose that on the auditor's report. So basically, we just couldn't get an estimate, we couldn't determine it, it couldn't be determined, so we just had to note that we couldn't come up with an estimate, fair estimate for that, so it's not disclosed in the statements. And it should be in accordance to the public sector, so that's the difference between qualified and unqualified, so
We did,
that's about it.
just for the record, they requested the statements and I requested them, and,
Yes.
and neither of us got them,
I was just
so.
gonna say, yes, it was not for
It's not for anything hidden.
lack of, yeah,
Tried,
initiative,
sure.
yeah, we definitely tried, kind of just fell on the actuarials, which we do rely on their expertise to come up with these estimates. There's a lot of factors that go into calculations, how they come up with these estimates for the liability, so. So for that, you'll notice this year that it is a qualified opinion, but overall, financials are fairly stated in our opinion. So that is a very quick review. Was there any questions on the financial statements that anyone had? The only other new, I guess, newer item you'll see, if you do go through and read through the notes, would be, the fire truck was new this year, so that is a new capital item, so the capital assets increased significantly by 1,709,000 of it being fire truck. So there is a new note this year to explain the long-term debt, basically the sublease from the province of New Brunswick. So that is a new note, it explains the terms and then the repayment schedule. Until expiry of January 2034, so. That's new this year, and I guess there's a deferred revenue note as well. So this year you receive funding from Canada Community Building Fund, 43,000. So that is essentially deferred until next year, has not been spent yet. So once it's spent, then we'll move that into.
It's segregated into a separate account, and
Yes.
interest and everything is accounted for separately on that account. That's part of the rules with the feds and the province on that, so. It's
Yes,
not just
separate
sitting,
bank account and,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So we check all of that, that's all in place, so that's good. So I think that as far as the statements go, I think those are the only major changes, and they're not really major, but only bigger changes, I guess, this year. So you will see that the capital did go up. There was also some land purchased. A couple other operating vehicles, within the protective services, some firefighting equipment. And then some small additions to the building, so. Bigger year for capital, definitely.
Well, and-
Prior year, but
in relation to the fire department, it was those vehicles that were turned over to us from the province.
yeah,
We didn't actually, other than the one fire truck that was purchased and subleased. The rest of them was just a turnover from the province, so we had to record them in accordance with the standards.
thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, because under like kind of the funding way, like under the,
Yeah.
old method we call it, so you wouldn't record capital. Just be, sort of an expense, but with public sector accounting standards, it is required that we record the asset and then based on its useful life. We amortize it and bring in an expense of amortization each year to sort of bring down that value. So each year your assets, once they get another year older, we kind of write them off a little bit each year, so. Brings down that total capital for him. And I think as far as the financials go. That was it, as far as anything, do you have any other questions?
Perfect, thank you. I will be looking for a motion from council to accept the financial statements, a motion and a seconder.
I'll make a motion to approve the audited financial statements for the Rural Community of Flemish Shores year ended December 31st, 2024.
Moved by Councilor Daly, seconded by Deputy Mayor Saunier. Questions on the motion? All those in favor? Contrary minded, seeing none, motion's carried. Thank you very much, Chelsea.
You're very welcome. I'm gonna leave my card too, if there's any questions,
Sure,
you can reach out to me, because
if you just want to hand it.
will be, you can reach out to me and I'll send you if there's any adjustment entries or.
I think there is
Then
some adjustment entries that need to be done, so
That's
that's
fine.
perfect,
I
thank you
can
so
send
much.
everything to you tomorrow. I meant to bring them this evening and then realized not halfway down here that I did not. So,
That's great, thank you.
you're welcome.
Thanks, safe travels. Seven, business arising from the minutes of old business, seeing none. Department reports, general government, my report was submitted online. Unless anybody has any questions, we are good. Councilor's report, Deputy Mayor Stranger.
Submitted online, any questions?
Councilor Bent.
I did not submit mine online this year. I was on vacation most of the month, so, did attend both, council meetings. I did attend some of the, Fundy Shores, events for Fundy Shore Days and, was very, very impressed with the, turnout and the, professionalism, and I think everybody had a good time. And I have been doing some prep work for the 40th anniversary of the fire hall, which is this coming September 8th on Monday. And I'd love to see anybody there. If you like speeches and things.
All right, any other questions? Are there any questions? Okay. Councilor Dealey.
My report was submitted online.
Any questions? Seeing none, Councilor, I should have asked and I didn't, are you guys' committees on together, or you want them, or go through it all? If you got anything, you can just, okay. Councilor Thompson?
I submitted mine online as well, but I did just want to mention that I did receive a call concerning the busing situation in Chance Harbor. We have a child that's disabled who can't walk a kilometer to the bus stop from their house to the buoy tree in Chance Harbor. And they're asking if maybe council could support in some way, contact the school board to help with this situation, like, the child can't do it. The parent and the parent works as well, so. If there's any way we could kind of write a letter to the school board. Asking for maybe. They want the bus to go into the church in Chance Harbor where it always went. They took it off a few years ago and they won't return it, so.
So, just quick, so they've already reached out to the phone.
They reached out to the school board, the school is working with them on it as well, and, they just like a little maybe. Extra push from us, just to kind of help,
Council.
Yeah.
Is that the direction and consensus from council to support that? We can,
It is, I think, yeah, I was involved in a conversation the other day where I was told that there was an extra bus in the area this year.
an extra bus.
Maybe that would help. I don't know. 3 buses instead of 2.
Really? I want to see 2 something.
Could be wrong, but that was just a conversation. I was
Yeah,
having.
yeah, I'll mention that to them as well, yeah.
do we want to first maybe speak with? I don't know which way, I'm just thinking of an incident last year that I had and it worked out somewhat fairly well or quicker. I know this is a little different, but would it be better or easier to make the call to the minister or
Think
That-
about anything.
They've already
to
spoken with
that route?
our representative. Yeah.
But
They've
this would be directly to the minister's
Right.
office.
Yeah,
and I
this
know
is
I-
a case of a child that has a disability.
So I'm just wondering
By the
if
time you
maybe
get to
that
the
route
bus
and then the
stop,
letter,
they're
when the
gonna have
letter
to go.
goes through, it would be kind of,
I would email them or
Yeah.
call them.
so yeah, so maybe. As long as I have the support of council, I'll email the minister's office, and then if that doesn't work, then we go with the letter to. Or have the both on the go, but I think the email and the conversation quicker with the minister, deputy minister might work a little.
I think
Quicker.
before a letter, before I would, my own opinion, before I would go that route, I would talk to the parent. see what they've already done, what the, where, you know,
Mhm.
where the, just before you, just that way there,
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
you might get some
Name
extra information.
Yes, I
and
can.
contact info.
Yeah, maybe send it to. the
I'll get
office
the
and see,
contact
yeah,
information.
and then we'll
send it
go.
to you, and then she can tell you exactly what she's done. She's been pushed around everywhere. So
Yeah.
it's happening.
No, and that's, I just know we had a situation last year and it worked. So I'm just thinking in my head that it might work a little quicker that way or a little better going through, but. No, we'll certainly see what we can do, and if council seems to be all in agreement, then we'll.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they are walking a full kilometer.
1.6, but it's. Over to the day.
It's over.
Oh, this-
it's
oh, this
over
whole story.
kilometer, actually, they measured it to make sure, and it is over. 1. Right now, she's
Yeah.
driving the child because she's on her days off. But she has a caregiver that naturally she doesn't send her child out because of the conditions, so she has a caregiver. Who can't walk that distance either, she's an elderly lady, she's family. So.
Yeah. Perfect, well, no, you just send us stuff and we'll look into it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. CAO report to council online for August, and I would need a motion to move that in second.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved by Councillor Deal, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Question on the motion. Anybody has any questions for it? All in favor? Contrary minded, seeing none, motion carried.
I have to step out and get the charger for my computer. Can I see going since Jill's there?
Planning and inspection, planning director's report. I will be looking for a motion and a seconder. To accept that report as submitted.
I'll make a motion to accept the report.
was back on the CAO.
Just give me, one sec. Moved by Councillor Daly, second by Councillor Thompson. Questions on the planning or on that motion? Seeing none, we'll move on. CAO report, if it's something I can answer, I will. If it's
I
Linda,
think that's
then
the way I read it. A meeting had been scheduled for August 27th to discuss council's wishes for the structure with engineering. And I guess the meeting was with engineering and
Sure.
council wasn't
Yes.
involved, and I just realized that. when I
Okay.
read it.
I talked about Linda, but she's already here now.
Okay, well, it's also.
It's all good. I saw your CAO reports, just like that.
Well, just on engineering, he's just getting some paperwork done. We should have it by the end of the week for council.
Public
that's-
safety report, fire department report, looking for a mover or seconder to accept that.
Who's that?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Sonnier, seconded by Councillor Bent. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. Economic development, synergy report submitted online, looking for a mover and seconder on accepting the report.
Make a motion to approve.
Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Questions on the motion?
Just a clarification, I guess, or an addition, I guess, there is a point in the report where we're waiting a response from the company from the from Portuguese and to meet with the cruise for company, so that's being scheduled for next week. So attend that meeting and provide update.
It's noted, yep.
Sorry, I'm trying to find it, trying to find this, never there when I need it. The, I'm sorry, I'm not sure which number it was on your, it was regarding, I want to say DTI, and they hadn't returned a call about, property,
Oh, that was,
and we're still waiting.
yep, and I did reach out to the DM about that day when we were talking, the deputy minister. And then today I reached out again to the ADM to have them look after it, provided them with the PID number of a few properties we were looking at looking for an update.
Thanks.
I have a question too.
Yeah. no.
Will you be providing at future meetings or future discussions on, the tax levy, or, sorry, the levy.
Yeah, so there's
Accommodation.
one coming up, soon with the, economic development and the Dorking community as well.
Yes,
One, and then there will be a stakeholder.
but for instance, you got the information from the river on the vacancies and the accommodations, how often it was used and so on.
Yeah, and we can.
That will be revealed at those meetings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll all be updated by.
I think that's.
There is a few
Yes.
things,
Yeah, and
there is a few things that we're waiting for from government, so the River Beach and the Pearl that won't be available until probably this month. And we're focused and there's some numbers that we're waiting from the Pearl that they're currently tracking right now. So we're just waiting to get all those numbers to see make some final numbers that get
And I did send the invitation out just, I think, to the counselors, so if you, I don't know if everybody sent their invitation out to their committees for that meeting. But I don't have everybody's committee members, so please invite your committees for that event.
I think I was CC'd on, and I think Tina's got sponsored that as far as the check. Okay.
I haven't not sent that yet. John has been pretty.
So September 10th is.
Yeah, we'd like to do both at the same
Yeah.
time, that way everybody's up at the same speed.
All right, so
Yes.
looking for all in favor of that report, I'm reminded, action carried. Standing committee reports, I'll just go through, is there any committee report that has anything, other than me go through each one, you guys are all good? Other than, well, you guys.
Nothing pertaining to our.
That's good. Correspondence, A and B, issue proceed, there has been none, so we're good there. Approval of payments. General government, the report that was attached, looking for a mover and seconder to accept that report. Moved by Deputy Mayor Saunier, seconded by Councillor Deely, questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. Approval of accounts, expense report, income and expense report for August 26, 2025. In your packages, looking for a mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Dearly, seconded by Deputy Mayor Saunier, questions on the motion?
I got one little one.
Yep.
Travel and training staff, there was a credit this month.
There was, we had received, I had traveled twice to be a part of other committees.
Mhm.
And council had paid me my travel, and then the two committees that I traveled for
Okay.
paid, so
Yep.
I put that back into your guys's accounts.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded, seeing none, motion carried. New business 13, mutual aid agreement briefing. I will read this out, I think everyone's got it. Chief Pollock and CAO Brown have been working with fire departments throughout southwestern Brunswick on the establishment of an up-to-date mutual aid agreement to reflect southwestern Brunswick post-local governance reform. This project has been ongoing since November 2024, and we believe we're in the final stage of the process to receive council's approval in principle and draft before sending it off to legal for review. After legal review is completed, Chief Pollock and CAO Brown will be requesting final adoption of the document. So I'll be looking for a motion to move that.
And this is just between departments, it's not part of the. What the problem?
No, Point La Pro part's not involved at all, it is just with the regular community departments.
That's all Southwest MB.
Mhm.
So I'd
We
be
haven't been
looking,
able to get all of Southwest MB on board, but like St. Stephen's very interested in it, Eastern Charlotte, St. Andrews. They're all willing, it's more of like Campbell, I haven't heard back from McAdam and Grammy, I haven't heard back. But I mean, given the distance,
Distance.
it might not be advantageous for them to consider it.
Mhm.
Looking for a
I'll
motion.
make a motion.
Councillor Deely, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Now question on the motion. Being none. All those in favor, contrary minded, motion carried. Light industrial park studies, scope of work. Year-end projections have been provided, keeping in mind is very premature at this time. However, it shows ample financial room with the current operating budget to complete this project with support of the RDC. I'd be looking for a motion, a mover and seconder to move that forward.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councillor Deely, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Question on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded, seeing none, motion carried. Well, I guess I didn't read the whole full. Do you want me to, or?
That's fine, council has it.
Okay. 2026 budget. It is that time of year when council begins to work on the operating capital budgets for 2026. CAO Brown would ask that any projects or items to consider for financing be submitted for scope of work and costing for end of September 2025, and it comes fast, so it won't be long, it will be end of September, so. We heard lots of numbers tonight, so throw a few more at her,
Seeing all the money we saved.
right?
We got some extra.
I'm really happy about the money that was in the surplus,
Right.
because we were able to get,
I know.
Grants and everything.
Reserves are looking good, I like it.
right? Yeah.
All right. Annual report 2024. The annual report for 2024 has been drafted. This report typically accompanies the annual audit financial statements. If council wishes, they can approve the annual report for 2024 or request for additions or deletions to the report. I'll be looking for a mover and a seconder on that report.
I move that we accept.
Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Bent. Questions on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. Closed session, we don't have any money, okay? Next meetings, committee of the whole, September 17th, 2025, 6 P.M. And next regular meeting is October 1st, 2025, 6 P.M. Is there any announcements anybody has? They can do so now. Seeing none, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Good.
Can I ask a question?
One second. You want to go?
Okay.